Hello, everyone. This is Tiffany Castleberry with Unchained Life. And I just realized that I'm wearing the same shirt that I wore last time I did an episode. So if you're watching on YouTube, yes, I do laundry. And yes, I do wear other clothes. Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about it, you guys. It's been over a week. So I promise I washed. Anyways, I pray that you guys are doing wonderfully. I pray that you are starting your new year off exactly how you want and in a positive way. I know that the new year can be difficult, it can be stressful, and there's a lot of things that go into it. And for some people, it's not any of those things, it's just something else that's happening. And, it's easy and it's just another day. Just depends on who you are and how you function and if you make resolutions and all that stuff. But I wanted to get on here just to have a chat, really. Like there's a few things that are on my mind, but I wanted to get on here because it's the new year and I need to start off with a bang. No, I'm just kidding. I need to start off consistently and I need to make sure that I'm reaching out to you guys and that I am being consistent with my what's the word? Um, my ability to be open and available to you guys and talk about the things that I want to talk about or don't want to talk about or need to talk about or think other people want me to talk about. There's a whole slew of things that go through my head when I get on here and try to figure out the best topics. It's always interesting that when I look at the highest number of views or listens, plays, whatever you want to call the the podcasts, to include even my blogs, the numbers always go to abuse and um, the pelvic floor disorder and things of that nature. And it's sad and comforting because it's sad that that's my highest number of views and that's what people need to hear about or learn about. But it's also comforting that I'm providing information on topics that maybe other people aren't talking about, that other people may feel alone because there's not a lot of information out there. And I know that as far as the pelvic floor thing goes, I went to my PCP last month to just do a checkup and wellness and make sure everything was okay. And we had a discussion about the lovely pelvic floor, and she asked me if I wanted to start doing physical therapy again. This is not the topic that I plan on talking about for the whole time. So bear with this and then we'll move on to something else. But I just say that because I understand how uncomfortable it is. I understand it's not enjoyable. Somebody asked me, hey, if you're having issues, then why don't you just go and do the physical therapy? And I'm like, you clearly have no idea what that consists of. Uh, and for somebody that has abuse in their past or trauma in that particular way, it's just, I mean, everybody deals with things differently, so I won't say that everybody feels this way, but I would believe I'm not alone in saying that it is not an easy task to sit through that therapy. And well, not you don't sit. You lay down and endure that therapy. And you just get through it how you get through it. And because I know how that feels, I understand that discussing it and making sure that other people know that they're not alone is important. Now, one thing that I did want to discuss when I got on here was I was listening to an audiobook. I've been into a big push on going through books, and I don't always have the time to sit and read. So I'm trying to make the best use of my time driving or getting ready in the morning. And so I'll play audiobooks. And the last one that, well, no, not the last one, three back. Sorry, my dog was all up in my face. Lay down. But three books that I've recently read. The one that I'm talking about is called 12 Rules of Life, I believe it is, and it's by Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. And he, for some, is a controversial whatever person, and not everybody agrees with him, and not everybody agrees with anybody. So that's nothing new, but I guess he gets a decent amount of hate, if you will. And so, anyways, I was listening to his book. He is an extremely intelligent man, and you can tell that he does a ridiculous, exhaustive amount of research for his books. It blew my mind. I mean, it really did. This little hair, if you're watching me, is driving me crazy. It's that new growth, you guys. It won't lay down. But anyway, anyways, in one of the chapters / rules, he was talking about strength. And I remember a while back, a friend of mine that I went to elementary school with and middle school with, I've known each other, oh my gosh. Oh, I don't want to do the math, but approximately, oh my gosh. Okay, we'll just say over 30 years. I had asked once what kind of topics somebody wanted to listen to, or, what they recommended or anything like that. And she recommended strength and how I stay so strong through the things that I've been through. And when I did that podcast, I guess I was I didn't really know how to answer, because I, I just, I did some research on it, but it's when you're talking about your own personal uh, obstacles and things that you deal with and survive, it's different. It's not, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how to describe it or how to recommend other people survive or be strong or any of those things. And so I don't know that podcast necessarily did well. I hope it helped somebody, but I don't know that it did, because I just really wasn't sure what way to go on it. And so when I was listening to Dr. Peterson on his book, it kind of sparked a thought process. And he had made a comment about how people are biologically different, obviously, right? And so therefore we deal with things, we react to things differently. Some of it's nature, some of it's nurture, but either way we react to things differently. And how he stated it in, one particular example was, say that, well, the one thing for me that's easier to describe is you have two people in combat, okay? And you're both going and you're both doing combat missions, and maybe even side by side. And you're going to have different reactions because you're made differently. You have different experiences, you have different abilities of how you deal with things due to those experiences, and also from your natural biology, right? So looking at it like that, I sat there and I thought, okay, so for somebody that is raped, one person, male or female, because please remember, it can happen to anyone, that one person may completely shatter and not know how to recover, or take a really long time because they've never had their innocence violated or their safety taken from them. And so, they've never had to deal with something like that. And I don't mean just in a rape situation. I just mean in general. Like, there's a lot of different ways that people can, ruin that innocence that you feel growing up, or the safety that you feel from being with your family and thinking that, I mean, as you grow up as a child, I don't think, I'm sure there are probably people out there, so I don't want to make a general statement, but I would like to believe, is probably the best way to say it, the majority of people growing up, in your early years, you're not thinking about your safety. You just you feel safe at home, unless unfortunately your home is not safe, right? And so, when you get older, until you're introduced to some of these things that you have to overcome and survive, you don't know you don't know what that life's about, I guess is the best way to say it. So, I think that pros and cons, and I don't think that everybody would look at it this way. If you put somebody next to me that's been through similar things starting at the same age of what I had to deal with, they could have a very different point of view. So please understand, this is not everybody. This is all about my experiences and my personal feelings on those things. So I think pros and cons, part of a pro of some of the abuse and the trauma that happened to me at such an early age, because the first time I was molested, sexually assaulted, however you want to describe it, I was 4 years old. And it was, I mean, at 4 years old, can you compute that? Like, no. So I didn't have a traumatic response to it because one, it was my babysitter. I didn't realize that we were doing something wrong. And so at such a young age, I didn't know what was happening. It was just an experience that I had until I knew it wasn't an experience I was supposed to have. And when I was molested at the age of 8, that was different because I was stolen out of my house, out of my bed in the middle of the night. And that in and of itself made it 100 times different than the experience that I had with the babysitter. And so knowing and being a little bit older and being able to process a little bit better, but not as an adult than when I was 4, right? It had a different impact. I would say that, the first couple of times that I was violated, I wasn't old enough to really understand what was happening. So I didn't have a horrible reaction to it. And I didn't know how to not be strong and survive it because I didn't understand that there was a problem. I didn't understand something was wrong. And until I was molested in second grade, did I start to understand this is not okay. This is not supposed to happen. Um, the fact that I was stolen out of my bed and out of my house in the middle of the night was a pretty good indication that this is not normal. And then the fact that the entire neighborhood was woken up by tons of cop cars, and ambulance and everybody else that showed up. That was a pretty good indication at a young age that, this is not normal. This is not okay. But because I'd already been through things that were not good, and I just had to, okay, that's not the right way to say it. Because I learned improperly to suck it up and move on because I didn't know it was wrong. So I didn't know to tell anybody. I just dealt with it and kept going. I wasn't given an option in those instances. So when it came to being in second grade and that happening, I kind of looked at it the same way ish. It had a little bit more of an impact because I really didn't want to sleep in my bed because I got stolen from the safety of my home and my bedroom in the middle of the night. And so it had some impacts 100%, but it still didn't, I don't know how to describe it, you guys. It still didn't shatter me. It confused me. It concerned me. It it scared me in a sense that I thought, my house was safe and that when the doors and windows are locked, that nobody can get me. I was wrong. And adding additional measures like an alarm system and additional locks on the windows, it was nice, but it sure didn't make me feel safe in the beginning. It was something that I had to work myself into and, had to work through counseling with. But, I tell you guys this because when I think about what Dr. Peterson said in his book, and I think about my friend asking me about being strong, I realize that we don't all, and I know that we don't all react the same way to the same instances, right? But I think that's when I realized when I was listening to his book and how he went on and described certain things that some people just don't have it in them to let it roll off their back like water on a duck's back. And I'm not saying that in an instance to where you're molested or sexually assaulted or raped or abused that you should just let it, wash off like water on a duck's back. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that because we react differently, that's the take that some people have is that, oh, well, this happened to them and they're so nonchalant about it. Well, you also don't know what they went through. Like if they had to go through therapy, if they had to go through, um, you know, months and months of having to be reconditioned into their room or, whatever the case may be. But understanding that naturally, biologically, we also react in specific ways. And I think that that is something you have to properly work through and towards. That's not something that you can proactively plan, right? Like, if I don't know how I'm going to react to a trauma, I can't prep for it, right? One, I don't want to prep for it because I don't want to intend on being traumatized at any point in my life. Nobody wants to plan that. The other side of it is because you don't know how you're going to react, you can't pre-plan for something like that. You can't proactively set yourself up for, well, when I get raped, this is how I'll react. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't, you can go through self-defense classes, you can do things like that, but you can't know how you're biologically going to respond if you've never been through anything like that. I hope that makes sense. And I want you guys to understand it doesn't make you less of a person or, a problem or weak just because you react differently than the person next to you. You could have, me and another rape victim sitting here, and we could have 100% different reactions and outcomes. Some people have the theory that, hey, I'm going to take back my life. I'm going to be strong and I'm going to go out and do whatever I want to because nobody's going to take my life away from me and nobody's going to take my safety away from me. And they're just so adamant that that's what they're going to do. And so that's how they react. Other people have an absolutely completely different response and they're like, I'm never leaving my house. I will never unlock my door. Like, I'm not going to allow the ability for somebody to do this to me again. And they completely shut down. And then there's people that are in the middle and they want to take back their life, but they want to do it properly and they have to deal with the feelings and the emotions of losing that sense of safety and protection, if you will. So, either they go through counseling or they go and take self-defense classes or they go and buy a gun to keep next to their bed so that if somebody else breaks in or if, somebody follows them home, that they're ready, right? Everybody has their own way of reacting to things and it doesn't make you better or worse, stronger or weaker necessarily. What determines the strength, I would say, is the not giving up. There's no nice way to say that. I have known too many people that have committed suicide. And I have felt those feelings and I understand wanting that pain to end and thinking that that is the only answer that there is. And so when I say the only way that you make that decision of strength or weakness or, quitting or whatever is making that final decision. And don't confuse my words. I will never tell you, because I don't believe it, that the person that has chosen to commit suicide is a coward or weak. It is not an easy choice. It is something that I'm sure most of those people who have done that thing has contemplated over and over. But the moment that you quit, that's when you fail. And I pray that if you're listening, that you don't take that to be in any bad way. Because like I said, I've been there. One of my friends that was uh, a West Point grad and has amazing accomplishments and is an amazing individual has also struggled with that. So, I had a conversation with somebody today and it was at work. I mean, completely not what I would think that would be a work topic, but we were having this conversation and somehow we got to the point to where people have this misconception that people that are abused, people that have addiction problems, any of those people look a certain way. Like, you can't be attractive and put together. You can't, no, you don't look that way. And, like we were talking, even she sat there and said, she goes, in all honesty, because people thought that I couldn't be that person because of the way I look, made me better at the addiction. Because we have this misconception that people have to look a certain way. Well, please understand there's a plethora of pictures out there that'll prove somebody can look absolutely beautiful, like a freaking, runway model. In fact, there's plenty that are runway models and or actresses or actors, and they look gorgeous and stunning, and you can't believe that they have this lovely life and blah, 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 blah. Bull crap. They have addiction issues. They commit suicide just like regular people. Because it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if you pretend that you have all your crap together. It doesn't matter if you're rich. It doesn't matter if you're poor. It doesn't matter that you're successful or a failure. It does not matter. Put whatever name on it you want to. It does not matter. These things can happen to anyone. And the problem is that we have gotten, as a society, so disconnected that we're not even taking care of the people that we love because we assume that they look good, so they're fine. A lot of people that contemplate suicide just need somebody to talk to. They just need one person, one single person in their life that they feel like if they go to with their problems, they are not a burden. Let me tell you how much that word impacts individuals. Burden. Oh my gosh. The weight that is on that word is astronomical. And I'm not saying that lightly, and I'm not saying it to be funny. Because I have been that person. I have people that love me. They do. They truly love me. They would probably do just about anything for me. And they've been with me for decades. However, when I was going through the darkest time of my life, There was absolutely no way that I would reach out to any of those people. Why? Because I felt like I was a burden to them. I felt like what I was going through wasn't worthy or substantial of bothering somebody else. So I tell you that because everyone, every single human being alive and past and future human being, Homo sapien, Neanderthal, I don't care. Everyone needs one person, at least one person that they can talk to. So, what does that tell me? That tells me that we, as a whole society, as a whole human race, we need to be better friends. I mean, we need to stop being so self absorbed that the people that we claim that we love don't feel like they could come to us in a life or death issue. If I'm contemplating ending my life, I should have at least one person that I can go to and not feel judged and feel like if I tell you all of the horrible, awful, ugly, dark things that I'm thinking and considering, that you're going to listen, you're going to do the best that you possibly can to help, you're not going to judge, and you're going to love me through it. That's what people need. I cannot stress that enough. And one of these times, because I've already asked my friend if we could do this podcast together, because I really do want to do like a full podcast of us discussing all of the issues that we dealt with and that we contemplated, because people need to know they are not alone. They 100% need to know they are not alone. And I think I said this in the last podcast that I did, but it baffles me, truly baffles me, that now where we have access to humans at the fingertips, we feel more disconnected and alone than ever before in history. Ever before in history. Please hear that. Because as the last generation growing up without all of this crap that we have now, and yes, I'm utilizing it, so say what you want, but I'm still going to call it crap because I would so much rather live the way I did when I was in the 80s and 90s than today, knowing that somebody can get a hold of me like that, or that the whole world knows, everything about everything and still is ignorant about so many things. They've done research, you guys, over decades. And people are more alone and lonely now than ever in history. And we have so much more access. And it's so much easier to talk to somebody or chat with them or text them or do something on social media to have a response. Like there's so many ways to interact with people now. It's insane. And yet we feel so much more alone than we ever have. It's sad. And so I will reiterate. We need to do better. We need to do better. As a human race, we need to do better. We need to be better friends. We need to stop being so just self-absorbed. Oh, it's all about me, 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 me. How can I get the attention? How can I get more money? How can I stop? Here's the other thing. The way that most people feel fulfilled in life is not by take, 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 take. What can I have? What can I have? What can I have? Because if that was the case, the people that have ton of money, success, fame, they would never, ever commit suicide. ever. Because they have it all, right? No. You need to live a fulfilled life. And what that means is live with a purpose. Help other people. There's a reason it's a cliche that it says it's better to give than to receive. Yeah, it's nice to get a nice gift, but my gosh, have you given something to somebody and just watch them beam with excitement? And that just makes you feel so good? That's fulfillment, you guys. That's it. And that's what we need more of in this life. We really do. I mean, I honestly believe, and this is my opinion, so y'all can disagree with me and you can tell me that I'm crazy and I'm a fool and that's fine. But I truly believe that if we lived more like that, knowing that it is more important and more enjoyable to give than to receive, and being better friends to the people that we truly love and care about, we would drop the suicide rate. I would argue we would probably drop it by half. And of course, that's my opinion. This is not a scientific fact. And oh my gosh, you can come at me if you want to, but for the love of Pete, take a moment and think about what I said. If we just stop being so self absorbed and just focused on making more money and being famous and being a celebrity and pretending that we're so special and we influence people and blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh. Find a purpose in life that is actually worthwhile. And it's fine. You can absolutely disagree with me and you can come for me for saying that. But I truly believe it. I can't tell you, that was one of the things that got me through my darkest time was finding a purpose, was realizing that I just went through and was still going through the worst time in my life, the absolute worst. My number one fear was my dad dying. And losing him at the same time that my husband decided that he all of a sudden wanted to give up on our marriage within 3 days. People, come on. Well, that's a crapshoot. Don't get me wrong, I'm stronger for it now, but if we could have spaced those two things out, they still would have hurt. But I think I would have come out a little bit better and a little less crazy. That's just my opinion. But because I knew the feeling of literally wanting to die and begging God in prayer. Y'all, I begged him to end my life. I know that feeling. I know how much the pain hurts for us to consider suicide. That was how my purpose came out. Before that, I thought my purpose was serving my country and being in the military and all that that meant. And don't get me wrong, I'm still proud of that. I'm thankful that I did that. It showed me that I was stronger than what I thought. I was capable of more than I thought. But purpose-wise, my purpose is to share my story and everything that I've been through and that I've overcome, that I'm not just a survivor. I'm living and thriving. I have overcome. I'm not surviving. I'm not existing. And I was for a long time. A long time. To give other people hope, to show them that they can survive what they're going through, that's purpose. For me, that is purpose. That's why I do these. My gosh, I am such an introvert. You guys, I don't do this. I don't go and do book signings. I don't go and do speaking engagements because I want to go and socialize with people. That's hard for me. That is hard for me. But I want to help. If you heard the snore, that's my dog. I'm so sorry. I want to be able to provide inspiration and hope when people are going through their darkest times. You may not be able to see that light at the end of the tunnel because I could not for the longest time. There was no light. It was dead midnight for me for a very long time. And it took so much fighting to get to where I am now versus where I was. It's not easy. It takes work. But if me sharing my story and helping people that way keeps people around, keeps them fighting, gives them a glimmer of hope, then that's what I'm going to keep doing because that's what fulfills me is knowing that I'm turning my negatives into a positive by helping others. I pray that you can find out whatever, if you haven't found your purpose yet, I pray that you can find out what your purpose is. What are you passionate about? Start there. What truly makes your soul happy? Those are the things that we should all have to figure out at some point in our life, preferably before it's too late, so that we can experience that and we can know what it feels like. Man, we really do need to be better as a human race, you guys. So, my boss yelled at me because she listened to one of my podcasts and she said, "You gave me homework." Well, I'm going to give you homework again. Okay. Love on those closest to you. Please make sure that those that you love and cherish know they are not a burden to you. Be a better friend. Because sometimes it's just one person. All it takes is one person being there for somebody to keep them here. Just a little bit of kindness and a little bit of love. That's your homework. Go and have an amazing day. I pray all blessings and happiness for you guys this year. And please keep fighting. Be the best you that you can be. Let me know how I can help. Okay? Go and be amazing. Be blessed.